Hello, everyone, and we are back with Dr. Hardt himself. Dr. Hardt, thank you so much for joining us again.
Happy to be here, Doug.
Oh, I always cherish the times that we get to get you on here. So, Dr. Hardt, one of the questions that came up is, how do people actually know what to forgive when they're going through the forgiveness process?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Now, for starters, I can say, well, if you have parents, you have issues. and then people who are parents say, yeah, and if you have kids, you have issues.
Yeah.
And so that's a good place to start. However, we have a technology that is like running a plow across a farmer's field that has rocks buried in it. And because of that, it's breaking the farmer's equipment and he can't use that fertile land for growing crops. And so the tool that digs up the rocks that are buried in our unconscious are the computerized mood scale programs. This is a program that I originally wrote, a computer program. I wrote it in Fortran. Then I translated it into BASIC. And then I hired a programmer to retranslate it into Pascal because I have better screen control. And the current program, I had somebody rewrite it in Java. And so it's kind of like C, subset of C. And you take the mood scales while you're wired, you're wearing your brain electrodes, your brain activity is being recorded, and you get to see it at the end of the day, what your brain waves look like while you're taking your mood scales. Cool. And the program scores 21 different moods based on the answers you give. One of the 3 mood scales is yes, no to feeling words. Another one is 0 through 4, and another is 0 through 4, but no 2. 0 is not at all, 1's a little, 2 is moderately, 3 is quite a bit, and 4 is extremely. And there are 21 different moods total, things like anxiety, depression, hostility, friendliness, energy, vigor, confusion, bewilderment, anger, hostility, unhappy, a whole range of emotion. And so these are scored and tracked across the 7 days of the training. People take it 2 or 3 times a day, at the beginning in the morning, and then after their enhancement, where the first morning mood scale is how do you feel right now? And the second one is how did you feel in the moments of highest alpha, when the feedback tones were the loudest and you were getting the highest scores. In the premium double, they take it a third time after their second enhancement. Again, how did you feel in your highest alpha? So in addition to scoring the moods, which are tracked across time, the computer also uses an algorithm that I developed to determine the likelihood of the truthfulness of each answer. And so if there's at least a 68% chance that your answer is wrong, the computer will give 1 sigma, 1 standard deviation for that answer. If there's at least a 95% chance your answer is wrong, the computer will give 2 sigma. If there's a 99.7% chance your answer is wrong, computer will give you 3 sigma, and sigmas go up from there. And so it's a truth detector. And let's say that the word is angry and the person puts 0, saying consciously they don't feel any anger. But the computer gives them like 5 sigma. And so I know, and my other trainers know, that that person is angry about something. And so then you can begin a conversation. One of the classic ones, we had a CEO of $1 billion corporation in training. And he was there in his 3-piece suit, the white shirt, a little too tight at the collar. And he had his early 20s hippie son, long hair, sandals, beads, like that in the training, kind of like, doing that to dad. And first day, he wanted to go first in the review of the mood scales. I opened the mood scale printout, and anger was at the top of the list. And I go, well, is there anything you're angry about? No, he yells. And so I realized, wow, we have one angry guy here. And so without wanting him to be visibly, obviously wrong in front of all the other people, I wanted to ask the question, well, what would your wife say if we asked her? if there's anything you're angry about. But instead of just popping the question, I tried to prepare so that it would be like okay for her to have a different view. And so I started to praise women's intuition and saying how, with the advent of Rene Descartes dreaming up science, the rational mind got enthroned as the only way to be. He even said cogito ergo sum, meaning I think, therefore I am. So if you're not thinking, you don't even exist. But that brush of stiffening logical positivism passed more lightly over women. So women still had intuition. In fact, it was called for a while women's intuition. If man had it, it was a hunch or a gut feeling. And so I'm on this track, but he's a bright guy. He runs $1 billion company. And so he figured out where I was going. And before I even asked the question, he loudly and angrily again yelled, "No!" And so at that point, the people on each side moved away a little, like this guy could go postal. And so he was in denial about everything. We got through his mood scales fast. But then the other people started going through their Sigma words, and it would come to a word, the person would pause, their lip would tremble, maybe a tear would come out, run down. And then I would say, okay, well, what are you feeling? And they would go into some story that was from their past, and that would generate candidates for forgiveness. And so he listened to the other 3 people in the training telling these stories. So the next morning, when he came in for training, he was still in the 3-piece suit and the white shirt, a little too tight at the collar, but he opened his vest and he took out and unfolded a long list of people to forgive, all these people he was angry about. So this is how the mood scale program works. I can remember one person in training in Canada. When I suggested they should forgive their father, they got angry at me. My father was perfect, and don't you say anything about my father. And 2 days later, he was admitting that his father was so mean that as soon as the day he was old enough to join the Canadian Forces military, he left the house, and as he's walking down the walkway to the cab to pick him up, his father yells after him, "You won't last 6 weeks." And so this was somebody who was angry at me for suggesting that he should forgive his father. Now, the beauty about Alpha is that in Alpha, your mind can go out into the vast storehouse of your memory and recover things that have actually been forgotten to the conscious mind and bring this stuff up in a way that you can then forgive it. And it's a way of cleaning house, getting rid of the dust bunnies that you didn't even know were there, which makes the air, the breath of life in your mind ever so much fresher and clearer.
Wow. Absolutely amazing, Dr. Hardt. I'm always astonished at the work that you do.
Thank you, Doug.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have a training there at the Biocybernaut Institute going on right now, so always a pleasure.
Thanks, Doug.
Hi, I'm Tony Robbins. Listen, if you are looking to improve your brain, your psyche, your ability, your emotions, your ability to really maximize your performance, and you want to really dig into your brain, my dear friend, Dr. Jim Hardt, and his Biocybernaut program is extraordinary. I've been through it myself. My wife Sage has, members of my family have, and we found it to be truly extraordinary. But it is not for the faint at heart. Unless you're dead serious about really taking things to the next level, don't bother. We went through the Alpha program designed to maximize your ability to create alpha waves. And it was challenging and it was incredibly rewarding. And I'd recommend it to anybody serious about improving the quality of their lives or including the quality of their family lives as well. So check out Cybernaut, check out Dr. Jim Hardt. And if you do, I think you'll be really, really pleased. And the entire time you are learning to think and how you think these electrodes create sounds. And you learn how to put yourself in the zone of alpha. But it's a bitch. It's horrible. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that wants easy experiences, but I'd recommend it to anybody that wants to grow immensely. And by the first day, I'm like, who do I got to shoot to get out of this thing? Oh, it's me. I'm the one that did this shit, right? But by the end of the week, all 3 of us were able to go into this state of alpha. And if you're familiar with alpha, the best way I can describe alpha is there's no problem that can't be solved in alpha. Because every problem that we have was created by us.
Thank you for being here and absorbing this information about the science of brainwaves and about the stories of people whose lives have been beneficially altered, improved by doing brainwave training at Biocybernaut. And now I'm reaching out to you to invite you to come and be a part of the Biocybernaut adventure. Biocybernauts are to inner space what astronauts are to outer space. So come and adventure with us. And if you'd like to leave a comment on the videos, you can do that, or there's a link you can click if you'd like to learn more. We welcome you to Biocybernaut.